Good day there. My name is Keith and welcome to my Bachelor blog. A lot of interesting things about this Bachelor episode, so let's get right to it. First of all, Ian stepping out of his comfort zone, it seemed, and telling Caitlyn where to go. Hadn't really heard much from Ian up until this point, but heard a lot from him tonight, basically telling Caitlyn that, he thinks that she's shallow, she's there for the wrong reasons, blah, 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 blah. Ian, it's the Bachelorette. I don't necessarily know what show you thought you were going on to, but this is kind of the way that it works. Anyways, I think Ian probably realized, as I said last week, he wasn't going to be going anywhere, so it was better for him to take his ball and go home. But he kind of left us with mixed messages. Caitlyn, you're only here for sex, and that's not what I'm about. Then he gets in the car ride out, and he's like, I need to have sex. Then he goes on as far as to say that he should be the next Bachelor. Remember what I was saying last week? People are going to start campaigning. Certainly hope it's not going to be Ian. I've been saying that I want some diversity on the show, but I don't want a douche as the Bachelor. Anyways, moving on. Caitlyn is on the couch and she's crying. How dare he think that I just want to make out with guys? Well, a couple seconds later, Nick comes over to console her, and they start making out. The show was very entertaining for so many different reasons. So, of course, we'll get to the Nick thing in a second, but how weird was this whole date where she pretends that she's dead and she's lying in the casket and everybody has to say nice things to her? I just thought that was weird, and I don't necessarily think that'd be something that I'd want to participate in. Now, it's basically, okay, on the heels of what happened with Nick, her ego needed even more filling up, so it's like, okay, I'm going to lie dead, and you guys all say nice things about me, hee hee hee. It's just weird to me. Like, I don't necessarily know if that was her decision or if it was the producer's decision. Either way, just didn't sit well with me. Are we ready to talk about Nick yet? Okay, let's do it. So, she goes on the one-on-one date with Nick, and of course, one thing leads to another, and they put their teachings of the birds and the bees to good use, and the next thing you know, they're getting it on. Then he has to go back to the apartment or whatever with all the guys, and they're like, hey, how was the date? And I was expecting him to say, I think we just made a baby, but no, he tried to play it cool, and he was basically like, oh, we went, and we had a nice time, and it was very sweet, and it was like good getting to know her. It was very interesting because all the commercials and the ads kind of let you know that it was going to go that way, but at the same token, it was like, did that really just happen? So the thing is that for me, I'm thinking for these other guys who are so far behind in the whole game, if you will, none of these guys are even close to Nick, and it's so sad because they were there from the beginning. Nick just showed up halfway through the season, has completely dominated all of them. Like, there was not one single solitary guy that has a chance if Nick plays this right. He kind of reminds me of Bentley from a few years ago, where Ashley was all like, Bentley, Bentley, Bentley. Well, now it's all Nick, Nick, Nick. And the only way that Nick's getting sent home is if Nick royally messes up, because she is completely twisted over this guy. And with all due respect to Nick, I don't necessarily know why. Like, a lot of times you can look and you can say, okay, I get it. And I know that beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's all well and good. But to me, he's just kind of showed up at the right time. And he's just like, hey, you know what? I want to get to know you. He hasn't really done anything out of the ordinary that the other guys haven't already done. But for whatever reason, he holds the key to Pandora's box, as it would. So I'm looking up here on my iPad because I'm a little bit bad with the names, I'll be honest with you. And the guy that I'm looking for is, here he is, Sean B. He goes by the name Sean B, but when I'm talking about him, I say Calvin Harris, because that's who he reminds me of. Now, here's the guy who's really upset about the fact that, he's not getting to spend a lot of time with Caitlyn, and he feels like he's a bit on the outside, and he hates it every time he turns the corner. She's making out with a new guy. And he reminds me of Calvin Harris, and he should show up and be like Calvin Harris and be like, we found love on the show. I want to feel so close to you. But instead, he's showing up at her apartment towards the end of the episode, and she's all bawling, and oh my God, does she know about Nick, and what's going to happen next week? Anyways, I don't understand so many aspects of this show. I don't understand, again, I don't understand why, she's all upset. She knew what she was doing, and I don't necessarily know if what she was doing are right or wrong. I'm not here to judge her. Because quite frankly, if it was a guy that was doing it, would it be a bad thing? I think it's a weird thing in the sense that she's got, a group of guys who are seem to be legitimately interested in her. Like when Ian left, everybody was like, oh, Ian was bad. We need to go console her. And I'm thinking to myself here, okay, so you've got a group of guys who are legitimately interested in you, and then this whole thing with Nick happens, and the next night you're going to pretend you're dead, and then after that you're going out on all these other dates with these guys, and you're like calling one guy, oh my God, he's just a good jolly teddy bear. well, I don't know. I don't consider myself to be a genius when it comes to women, but women aren't usually running and you're like saying, oh my God, I want to get with a big giant teddy bear. That's usually the guy who ends up in the friend zone. I'm calling it now. Anyways, it'll be very interesting to see what happens next week. I want to see if any of these guys hear the news, because you got to figure it's coming out soon, and say, you know what, peace, I'm out of here, I'm done. Or if they're going to be like, oh, it's okay, I understand. Because going out and dating a bunch of guys and going out and kissing a bunch of guys is one thing, but being like, okay, I want to go to that level with you this fast, knowing that she probably hasn't had a one-on-one date with a lot of these other guys, a little weird. So we'll see what happens. And also, one other thing, Sean B. I thought it was kind of silly of Sean B. all of a sudden in the middle of their get-together to pull out baby pictures. I mean, who in the world pulls out baby pictures in the middle of, like, you know, a conversation just to make yourself look good? Clearly nobody I know. Anyways, what do you guys think of this episode? Let me know. CFL_fan, Facebook.com/WittyWhittier, or WittyWhittier.com. That's it for this week. Can't wait to see what happens next week, and I hope you'll join me. Talk to you soon.